He is Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together, we are Jalen Jacoby. What do?
We give the people what they want.
Jalen Rose, the waves are on top of your head, but they're also behind you. Where are you, my friend?
I am West Coasting at St. Francis Yacht Club, right in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm having the time of my life, sir.
Well, we have some updates on this big Game 3 game day. Kevin Durant will not play. Klay Thompson, still questionable. Game time decisions. Let's start with KD. Why do you think Steve Kerr announced that he would not be playing in Game 3 instead of keeping it up in the air for the Raptors?
Because you don't want to create any gray area within your team. You can't send a mixed message. Behind closed doors, you can't say, KD's not going to play, but I'm going to go in front of the media and say that he is going to play. And also for the integrity of the game. Steve Kerr, I think, has been to 10 NBA Finals. Betting is now legal. These are things that all go into a factor of acknowledging whether a superstar player is going to actually be able to play versus being a game-time decision.
So one thing I find interesting about this is with Kevin Durant definitely out of the lineup and Klay Thompson maybe in the lineup, hobbled if he is in the lineup, do you consider this a must-win game for the Toronto Raptors if they hope to win the series?
I got a dirty secret for you. I consider every game that Kevin Durant not playing is a must-win game for the Toronto Raptors. That's why I picked them to win the series. I'm not a fool. If KD was healthy, if I knew Boogie was going to play the way he did in Game 2, I would have picked the Warriors in 5. But since I knew that that was not the case going into the series, that's why I picked the Raptors in 7. So, yes, they need to have that sense of urgency without KD, and especially if Klay doesn't play.
Well, that's interesting. I want to bring it to Klay Thompson now because Klay is a game-time decision. He's got a hamstring strain. You said yesterday that you do not think that he should play in this game. Do you still believe that if he can go tonight?
I appreciate the fact that Klay's a warrior, literally. And last year he had an injury and people felt like he was questionable. He actually went out and played against the Cavs. But this is a little bit different. A hamstring is nothing to play with. We all know if that thing pops, not only will he be out for the season, he's going to be rehabbing during the summer. So if I'm the Warriors, don't play Klay. If he left the game in the second half, it takes a few days for that injury to heal. Why not give him more time? You got Steph Curry on his home floor. You got Draymond Green, who's basically been their MVP the last series in this one. You have Boogie Cousins that came on in Game 2. You hope your role players play better in front of their home fans. I would not play Klay in this game. And also, that's a mental manipulation for the Raptors. Say, for example, they don't play Klay, and then the Golden State Warriors happen to win. And now you show up in Game 4 with KD and Klay, that'd be an atomic bomb for the Golden State, for the Toronto Raptors mentally.
Well, let's say Steve Kerr's watching this program right now, and he takes all of his basketball cues from this program, as most people in the NBA do, and he does not play Klay Thompson. Who replaces him in the starting lineup? You've got, Cook, you've got McKinney, you've got Livingston. Who would you replace Klay Thompson with in the starting lineup?
Well, it's going to be McKinney because he's a little bit taller, and you hope he can make threes. He's a capable shooter. He shot an air ball in the previous game. Quinn Cook, you want to bring him off the bench because he's a shorter player. He's going to give you a lot of speed. He made 3 threes in the previous game. You don't start Livingston because you don't want to take one of your championship-laden vets and put him into the lineup because he doesn't shoot with range. And when he's on the floor, that's when they can employ that box and one.
So they always talk about sort of making up the scoring with KD out. Who's going to step up and score more points to get to 110, 115 points? Without KD and Klay, who do you expect to score more points to get them to the goal that they have?
First and foremost, DeMarcus Cousins. And I appreciate the fact that everybody is now taking a certain level of respect to his name after he had 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. But last year he averaged 25 and he started in an All-Star game. So I think he's the guy you lean on to try to get you some post-up looks. And also, you want him to continue to outplay Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka, which he did in the previous game.
Well, without Klay Thompson, even if he's in the lineup, he will be hobbled, and he probably won't play as many minutes as he normally does. You're going to see a lot of Steph Curry carrying the offensive burden for the Warriors. In the second half, without Klay Thompson in Game 2, the Raptors employed basically a box-and-one defense. Steph was asked about that yesterday. Let's listen to Wardell Curry.
Innovative and unexpected in terms of a defense you haven't seen in a while. There are obviously things that we could have done differently to try to create better shots. At the end of the day, that fourth quarter was just kind of weird overall with the pace and lack of scoring. We played amazing defense.
When's the last time you saw a box and one in the NBA?
I honestly can't remember. Probably last time I saw was when I had a Wildcat jersey on, though.
So, Jalen, he after the game called it janky, which I love. Do you expect to see more of this janky box-and-one defense in Game 3?
Yes, 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 yes. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it janky. How about calling it effective? Look at the Golden State Warriors lineup. They don't have the knockdown shooters that they used to have. When Steph is on the floor and Klay's off the floor, there isn't another knockdown three-point shooter. And if you're going to play the percentages, you want Draymond, Andre Iguodala, Boogie Cousins, all capable scorers to actually shoot the ball with range and live with their averages. Sean Livingston won't attempt threes because that's not in his game. So you would take all of that versus Steph Curry because we know what he can do from three-point range.
Absolutely, Steph Curry has shown us. I'm really, really intrigued about how they're going to defend Steph Curry. I bet they'll mix it up a lot, but you will see a lot of double teams, a lot trying to get the ball out of his hands. We will continue to preview huge Game 3 in the Bay Area. But right now, it's time for News That Matters. Tracy Morgan yesterday was announced as the host of the 2019 ESPYs. Congratulations to him. Well, he celebrated the announcement by doing some car shopping. Jalen, he bought a $2 million Bugatti. A $2 million Bugatti. 15 minutes after driving it off the lot in the streets of Manhattan, he was sideswiped by a car and the Bugatti was damaged. What would you do if that happened to you?
This is why I wouldn't buy a vehicle for $2 million. Because when you spend that type of money on something, now you've invested to the point where it becomes personal. That's a house, okay? I ain't spending $2 million on no car, number one. Number two, if somebody was to run into the vehicle, which, by the way, all young people, here's a lesson. Soon as you drive a car off the lot, it depreciates in value every second, every minute, every mile. Now, all of a sudden, when it has an accident, that car now is worth 1.2 in 15 minutes. So that would not be an investment I would make. And if I was him, you know what I really would have did? I would have been on my knees crying.
I know, and you don't
tears.
curse. You famously, I have never heard you say a curse word, but something tells me you might say some if you got sideswiped in your $2 million vehicle. When we come back, we'll continue to preview Game 3, but there's new information about Anthony Davis's relationship with the Pelicans. We'll share it with you right after this.
You see a car accident, it's bad. You're just gonna keep it moving.
Military, police, fire. These are courageous jobs that I don't have the courage to do.
I think if there was a woman in a car and the car was filling up with smoke and she needed help, you would help her.
The woman number better be in my phone right now.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose coming to you from the Bay. David Jacoby coming to you from Pier 17 in the Seaport District of Manhattan.
Area!
And we are brought to you by Chase. Jalen, of course, we will get back to Game 3 soon, but we have some other news in the NBA that is very interesting. After meeting with Anthony Davis last week, David Griffin this week is taking calls for trade offers for their superstar center. Jalen Rose, my question for you is simple. What should David Griffin do when he sees Rob Pelinka's name pop up on his phone? How should he handle that?
Well, I told you guys during the season that was going to get him sent to voicemail. Whether it was 213, 310, 323, I said it the entire year. And that ended up wrecking the Lakers locker room to the point where Magic needed to fly to the team on the road and try to patch things up in Philadelphia. LeBron coming out saying, well, if you can't deal with trade rumors, then you shouldn't be a Laker. And then, boy, you know it, they were in the lottery, other than the fact he got injured 18 games. And it also wrecked the Pelicans locker room to the point where they started taking him off the in-game advertisements while he was in the arena. It was awkward for everybody. So here's what David Griffin is going to do, whatever his boss tells him to do. And from what I'm hearing through the grapevine, the owner feels like they will do a deal with the Los Angeles Lakers, quote, over her dead body. Which means if she still feels that way, they may not get the best deal, but that will mean they probably won't deal with the Lakers. This is going to be fascinating to see how this plays out.
Well, it's interesting because Gail Benson did kind of walk back that over her dead body comment a little bit. You know what I mean? Saying it was like sort of a little bit out of context or whatever. Still leaving it open for a Lakers trade. Now, obviously, the Lakers can put together a good group of young players and the fourth pick for AD. The Celtics also have some assets that they could trade. But my question for you is, we know that AD would stay with the Lakers, or we assume so if he was traded there. But if you were another team, would you take the risk of like Paul George did the way that OKC did with him and the Raptors did with Kawhi Leonard? If you were another team, would you put together a trade package for AD without a guarantee that he would stay?
I absolutely would. Look at how it's paying off for the Toronto Raptors. And if he walks at the end of the year and he gets you to the finals and or in a position to win the NBA championship, sometimes you got to roll the dice. Usually GMs like to play it safe, Jacobs, and they don't make the big move or the splash because they get a chance to keep their jobs longer. It takes courage to do what Elton Brand did, bring in Butler and Tobias Harris in the last year of their deals, or with Masai Ujiri, let not only Dwayne Casey, the Coach of the Year, walk, but also let DeMar DeRozan walk, and it paid off. So there have been some situations that it seems like Anthony Davis would be comfortable staying with, and I think if he got traded to the New York market, whether it's the Nets or the Knicks, he would probably be comfortable with that situation as well.
Well, getting back to the Lakers, the Anthony Davis news isn't the only thing that affects the people in purple and gold. They hired Frank Vogel, and then they have Jason Kidd as the assistant, who they made the highest paid assistant in the NBA. Not only that, now they have announced who else is going to join the staff. Another former head coach, Lionel Hollins. Now, Jalen, it's great to have this collection of basketball minds together on the same bench. But if you're Frank Vogel, how do you feel about these hires?
I'm not mad at this at all. And this actually is something unique in the NBA. And can we just acknowledge that the Lakers over the last couple of weeks have actually improved? They got the fourth pick in the draft.
Yup, I like this.
They got Jason Kidd to join their coaching staff. They got Lionel Hollins to join their coaching staff. They got Frank Vogel as their head coach. This is a game-changing agent type of thing for the NBA because neither one of those assistants were head coaches last year. They were out of the league. So now they're happy to be back in the game. And they now understand if the Lakers do have success, which I anticipate they will because LeBron James is really good at basketball and they're surrounding him either with the good young assets that they have or they're going to be able to parlay that into something else. Now all of a sudden those guys are going to be back in conversations for head coaching interviews, which they were not involved with as jobs came available this offseason.
Interesting. Now, I have to ask, everything about the Lakers revolves around LeBron James. And how do you think LeBron James feels about these hirings of head coaches now as assistant coaches?
I don't think he's mad at it because you continue to improve your team if you have people that were head coaches now as top flight assistant coaches versus assistant coaches who have never sat in the first chair. This cannot be a bad thing for the Los Angeles Lakers moving forward. I actually like what they're trying to do. These were guys that were out of the league. It ain't like these two guys got fired this offseason and then got hired. They were out of the game. They weren't getting interviews. So now all of a sudden they're back on a big stage coaching LeBron James in Los Angeles. We know that they're going to be a playoff team. They could possibly be a contending team. That's only going to help their value.
I think that a lot of people forgot just how good LeBron James is basketball because he has not been in these playoffs. I have pretty high expectations for the Lakers next year. I see the Lakers in like at least the second round of the playoffs, barring some sort of injury. Jalen Rose, that's next year. Right now, we are in the middle of a very interesting NBA Finals with a lot of moving parts. You are going to tell us who your prediction is for the winner of Game 3. Right after. Game 3 of the NBA Finals is tonight on ABC at 9 p.m. And before the game, tune in at 8:30 to see Jalen Rose and the Countdown Crew, all on ABC. And then tomorrow morning, Get Up with the Get Up Crew. They'll be breaking down everything that happened in Game 3. That's at 8 a.m. on ESPN. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, we are just hours away from Game 3 in the Bay. Simple question for you. Who wins tonight and why?
The home team, the Golden State Warriors, because we haven't had a signature finals performance from Steph Curry. And he hears the chatter. Yeah, they won 3 championships, but he hasn't been finals MVP yet. So with Draymond Green, to me, leading the way the first 2 games with his consistency and how he played in the Western Conference Finals, so far, since they're halfway basically towards capturing what they hope to get done and winning 4 out of 5 championships, I think Steph Curry has a signature game. I think he's going to be a lot more efficient. He's shooting less than 40% from the floor. He was 0 for 6 in the first half before he got going late in the second quarter in the previous game. He has some bad turnovers. Fred VanVleet did a really good job of defending him. We're talking a lot about the box and one. I think they're going to be ready for that, whether Klay plays or not. I think Steph Curry has a breakout game and they win.
See, I just find it hard to believe the Warriors are going to win this one with, even if Klay Thompson plays, he's going to be hobbled. Just where do the points come from? Like, is Boogie going to score 30? Is Draymond going to score 25? Is Steph going to score 45? Like, where do the points come from for the Warriors offense?
I agree with that sentiment. That's why overall I picked the Warriors. I picked the Toronto Raptors to win the series based on exactly what you just said. Without KD in the lineup, you're losing 30 to 35 points. The game we saw from number 1 to number 2, Boogie, the minutes were up plus 20. How's his body going to respond to that? Is he going to be able to stay out of foul trouble? Same with Draymond Green. The Golden State Warriors also got a real favorable whistle in the previous game. So I understand what you're saying, but this is why I say Steph is going to have a signature performance. That's going to drive the narrative if they win.
Well, he's going to need at least 40 points for them to win tonight. And I think one person that was so key after Game 1 that we just spent 3 days talking about, singing the praises of, was kind of quiet in Game 2, and that's Pascal Siakam. Could you see Pascal Siakam play some more center? Could you see Pascal Siakam have another big game and establish himself as the second best offensive threat they have next to Kawhi Leonard?
If you're the Toronto Raptors, you have to downsize your lineup. Serge Ibaka's been invisible the first couple of games. Marc Gasol was really good in Game 1. He was not effective in Game 2. You have to gauge that early. And if he's not ready to go and play at a high level, you now play Pascal Siakam more at the 5. You do a lot more switching on the perimeter. You play VanVleet with Lowry a lot more. You get Norman Powell some more minutes. You can use Kawhi in any lineup. So also, the way they're blitzing Kawhi, if I would like to see Marc Gasol come up and actually slip it sometime. And then that gives him a different look. Or have somebody else actually be the screener. If they're going to crowd and blitz Kawhi the way they have, you got to either slip the screen, have a different person set the screen, or just play flat and allow him to go one-on-one. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out tonight.
Well, Draymond Green is going to have a key role in this game no matter how it plays out and who's on the court with him. But one of the reasons that he's been so good in these playoffs in comparison to the regular season is he's lost 25 to 30 pounds. The GM, Bob Myers, told him he had to, and he said one of the ways he did so was by cutting out chips, red wine, and fast food from his diet. Jalen, those are like the only 3 things that you consume. You eat more chips and drink more red wine than anyone I know. Jalen, could you possibly give up chips and red wine out of your diet?
I could give it up if I was trying to play NBA basketball, but since I'm not, I ain't. You know what I mean? How about that? How about that?
I feel like yesterday it was toilet paper. Today it's chips and red wine. I don't know what you're going to have for props tomorrow. Whoa, that's too much. Are you going to break all those up and put them in one bag like you always do for your Eatos mix?
Of course. Why not?
Oh, Jalen.
I'm going to show you I ain't perpetrating a fraud. You know what I mean?
Jalen, you're the best. You are the absolute best. We will see you at 8:30 on ABC for NBA Countdown. 9 o'clock is the big game 3. Jalen thinks the Warriors are going to win. Jacoby thinks the Raptors are going to win. We will see how it all plays out tonight. I cannot wait for this one. I also cannot wait to see just how many chips Jalen Rose is going to stuff his face with throughout the rest of this program. Oh, eat them all. Go for the cycle. Go for the cycle. Get the Cool Ranch. Get the regular. Get the Cheetos. Get the Flaming Hot Cheetos all in your mouth at the same time. This is the best television that has ever been produced and filmed and broadcast. We'll be back tomorrow to break down the game.